All right. So I promised everyone from the last session, if you were there, that I would do a visualization exercise with all of you. So one of the things that I also do is I work with a pro athlete community, which is a group of active and retired NFL players. And there's this concept that I have called anchoring. Now, if you're able to associate a positive emotion with something new that you're going to do, your brain is 1,000 times more likely to want to follow through on that. Right. So if we make a time block for ourselves and we don't follow it, and then we see the time block the next day, we're like, I'm not going to do that. It's not for me. Right. So every time we do this visualization exercise. So I promise you this is worth it. For those of you who might not be into this stuff and they call it woo-woo, believe me, the woo-woo people are very happy. Right. So I'm going to put the song on, and then we're going to get into role playing. All right. So I want all of you to close your eyes. If you're not closing your eyes, I can see you. For those that have your cameras off, I encourage you to turn them on. So ready? Take a deep breath in your nose. Exhale out of your mouth. One more time. I want you to go back to the first day you thought about getting a real estate license. That moment in time that when you thought about real estate, it was filled with joy, excitement, dreams. I want you to go back to that exact moment in your life. What did the emotion feel like? What did the air feel like? What could you touch? What could you see? What could you feel? And I want you to hold on to that emotion again. I want you to picture what it was like studying the early nights, the early days, the late nights, the process of getting your license, the day that you walked into that licensing exam, the day that you received your license, the day that your career began, the day that that next chapter began, all of that excitement that you had in a business that you're so passionate about. I want you to think about the first client you serviced, the first time at the closing table, the day that those keys went across and you realized that you were a conduit making other people's dreams come true, where there was no fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, NAR settlement, just a life of limitless possibility. And I want you to go back and hold on to that feeling again. From the feeling of excitement to getting your license, to the feeling of excitement to your first closing, the day that you knew you found your purpose and career on this earth. Now, I want you to think about all the different people that you've helped, home after home, journey after journey, the joy, the smiles, the happiness, people's kids walking through homes and you making it their forever home. Before you were scared of failure and the fear to try, before all those things happen that cast that fear, doubt, worry that we often carry with us today, I want you to hold on to that daydream. Now, I want you to think of a future. I want you to think of what it's going to be like past August 17th, where every single buyer and seller wants to work with you because you're the best agent for the job. You're professionally trained. You're watching people's dreams come true. You're watching your own dreams come true. The amount of money you make goes up. The amount of hours goes down. You're able to spend all the time you want with the people you love the most, and your bank account is filled with money. I want you to hold on to that emotion. What does it feel like? Who are you with? What does the air feel like? What can you smell? What can you touch? What can you hold? Who are you in this moment? And now I need you to take another breath in through your nose. Exhale out of your mouth. And I never want you to let this feeling go. Open your eyes. That feeling that you have in that exact moment is the one that you need to carry with you every single day of your life. And if you could believe it in your mind, anything is possible. You know, we were talking about why America is the greatest country in the world. Oh my God, look, a baby. There's nothing that could distract me faster than a child. There could be 500 people on Zoom. I'm like, squirrel, baby. So cute. And look, What I want you to realize is that we live in a country, regardless of all the bullshit of politics and world events and everything else, this is a place where you can literally make anything out of yourself if you put the work in, you believe in yourself, and you're relentless in the pursuit of it. But if you can't believe it, and you're so afraid of failure that you fail to try, you're not going to amount to nearly what your potential is. And at the end of the day, when you look back at your life, the one thing you don't want to regret is not pushing yourself hard enough. So take that emotion, that feeling that you had throughout the visualization, and hold on to it and try to access it as much as possible. I want you to take that same mindset and apply it as you relentlessly practice your skill. And understand one fundamental thing. There is nothing that can ever happen to you more than once in your business, because you can come here and share it and I'll give you an answer. That's the whole purpose of these role play sessions, is so we're active with you in the field as much as we can be. I don't want to be a person that's living in the clouds like many other people that do my job that have no idea what you do every day, because the disconnection just goes further and further and further. Sound good? Did anyone else besides me enjoy the visualization exercise? All right, cool. I'll bring more stuff. Normally, we only do this in live events. Live events are cool because they got like the big speakers and the lights and people. And like if we're all in a room full of people, I'd have you closing your eyes, clapping as it ended, and there's cheer. Like it's wild, right? And so, look, it's anchoring, right? Now we've anchored positive emotions to a career and the things that we've done that we continue to do. And I think being able to fight for that dream over and over and over again and realizing the impact we make. I'll never forget the day when a kid came up to me and said, "Mr. Shah, can you make this our home?" I was like, holy shit. Sorry for the kids there, earmuffs. I was like, this is such a responsibility and this is such a fulfilling process. See, and before we get into the role play, the only thing that stops you from doing that every time is our inability to say the words no. If somebody doesn't want to answer your questions, they're a bad client. You can't help somebody without information. If your seller does not want to do the med C, don't walk, run. How it starts is how it goes. If a buyer just wants to contact you and say, "What do you charge?" They're like window shopping for price, not value. And they don't realize that the true cost is all the bad things that'll happen by not hiring the right person. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our featured presentation. So today we're going to talk about what do we do when the seller says, "I've seen all these headlines," or "I don't want to pay a commission," or "Do I have to pay a commission?" Do you know what they're telling you when they say these things? Anybody? And if you're on the first call, you can't answer this question. Andrea?
Oh, I was on the first call.
Okay, you can answer it. Go ahead.
Show me value.
It's not even show me value. They're saying, "I don't understand," bless you, "why I have to pay all this money." Like perceived value and actualized value, right? We have a perceived value of what another agent does, but here's like, add this on like your kill list of words not to say. You cannot say that by having a professional on the other side, it guarantees a smoother closing. No, it does not. We've had to, it includes the likelihood of doing it. And the other thing is, even if somebody buys a deal in cash, is there such thing as a real estate deal with no hassles? There was a woman, her name is Lee Brown. She's a motivational speaker / real estate coach in the South. And for those of us on the East Coast, I think you've heard of, oh my God, Triple Play, that big NAR convention, right, in Atlantic City. So I remember being a speaker there, and I remember them doing their keynote in the end, and she was a speaker. And like in any other thing, one of the fun facts about me is I've never gone to a conference that I've not been the first person through the door. Like first, Tony Robbins, Brendan, any of these ones. I literally get there 2 to 3 hours before the door opens because I didn't come there to sleep. I came there to have a great experience and learn. Right. And one time, Tony Robbins is one guy like literally walked ahead of me, but it was like one person in his son. That was it. So I'm sitting in the front and the lady has this amazing Southern accent. She goes, "Do you know why people hate real estate agents?" And I was like, I'm like, oh, this is good. So people start saying stuff. Because when we walk into people's houses, we just lie. We tell them the 3 golden lies. I'm going to sell your house in the fastest amount of time for the most amount of money for the least hassle possible. She says, the last time I checked, can you control how fast buyers write the check? No. Can you control what the economy does and how much somebody's home is worth? No. And have you ever met a real estate deal with no hassles? No. So you want to tell people up front, like this will help minimize all the challenges, but to be very clear, every detail, every transaction is friction and challenges, no matter how much you prepare. And my job is to mitigate, manage, and get us through it in the simplest path of least resistance. So when somebody says that to you, I don't want to pay, I saw this in the news. By the way, I love the 6% commission because I worked in a 4% market where you were lucky to get 5. I love how they took Missouri, like one like small area in middle of America, and decided that that's representative of every real estate market in the country. Like they could have at least picked like one other luxury market, right? And then thought about this. So when someone says that, the sales tactic you're going to be using is called level shifting, right? And the process that we're doing is called creating the gap. If they don't understand that they need this in our mind, we need to go through a purposeful set of questions that we ask somebody to create a gap to fill. Does that make sense? So the first thing I'm going to say is completely understand. Do I have to pay a buyer's agent's commission? What is the answer that you say to the people? Anybody? Unmute yourself. Andrea?
No.
Do you have
No.
to pay commission? That's a great question. I'm really glad you asked.
Well, it's not even a question. The answer is just no. Right? And the reason it's no is because they're telling you they don't want to pay. Remember keys 3 and 4 of effective keys to conversations? Always be in agreement, always be in the red. Do I have to pay a commission? No, because remember, right now you're the protagonist. You've made it all the way this far where they've agreed to your fees and everything else. And the last thing to figure out is the incentive you offer a buyer. No, you don't have to pay a buyer's agent's commission at all. It's your choice. And just remember, whatever you do, I support you 100%. Can I ask you a question? They're going to say, sure. Where are you moving to? Or if you've done the Med C, and I'm assuming you do, hey, you'd shared that you're moving to Florida, you're most excited about this. How are you going about finding your next home? How are you going about finding your next home? Oh, I'm using an agent. Oh, then you go back to the question, the magic buyer question, right? That's how you start connecting the dots. Completely understand. You're a smart, savvy person, and you could have found your own home on yourself. What do you envision an agent doing for you that you feel you can't do yourself? And that's where the gap begins. And they're literally going to start selling themselves subconsciously into why they should use an agent. And then you're going to continue the conversation. And at some point, they'll tell you about the neighborhood and they're looking for things. And then the next thing is, based on having a full-time job, do you think you could manage all the details of your move on the buy side? The guy's going to say, no, I'm busy. And if they're retired, you're going to say, do you have the skill set to do this and something you feel comfortable doing? They're going to say no, because you're using an agent, right? And then you're nicely, and like, this is where we get really slick, right? You're going to say, have you ever wondered what an agent does in exchange for the compensation they receive? And do you know? Do you know, or have you ever wanted? And they're going to say, yeah, I've always wondered. Everyone wants to know. You can say, great. Now notice my choice of words here. I'm really sorry in advance. This has a lot of small details that are probably not important to you. So I apologize for all the information. But this is just an example of what we do with the clients we work with. Everyone has their own thing, but this will just give you an overview. Why don't you take a read, Michelle, and let me know what you think and how you feel. And then just shut up. Think about how long are your internal buyer checklists. They're sizable, right? Especially for those of you on a team, right? This is a great place to leverage your team checklists. And then you go back and you're going to say, how important is the buyer adhering to the dates and timeline that are agreed upon because these moves are happening almost simultaneously? What do you think every buyer is going to say? They're very important. And then I'm going to throw some more doubt in there. What's your plan B if the timeline doesn't work or someone mismanages the transaction? And I'm going to say it just in that tonality. What's your plan B if the timelines don't happen the way you think or someone mismanages the transaction? And would you, knowing what you now know, and you're using an agent for the same reasons and moving, would you feel comfortable and confident with a buyer representing themselves and being able to do something similar to these details? What do you think they're going to say? Nope. They're using an agent. What do you think a buyer with a home inspector that has no skill, no training, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to send you a repair request that's either a mile long because they think they're buying a new construction house, or the home inspector is going to say, yeah, go back there and ask them for all this money. And your offer is going to get canceled, and these highest and best markets are going to go to somebody else. That's the play. Is there anything complicated about doing this? All right, questions. Feruze had something here. Jen, I will try to get this on some sort of podcast. We are going to make a podcast soon. What if they're going into a retirement home and not buying their next home? Great. Go back to timelines. Go back to their motivations and what they're excited about. The M in the Med C. And if their house is a fixer-upper or has like deferred maintenance, like many homes are for seniors, say if a buyer is in here with a home inspector, what do you think the home inspector is telling them without a party to mitigate the conversation? And tell you to ask for everything. All right, questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, feelings, hallucinations, fears, doubts, worries. And then we're gonna need two brave souls to role play this. All right, who wants to be my volunteer today? Two. Before I start calling on people. All right, Julia, come on down.
Okay,
Who's
it's
next?
terrible, but let's give it a go.
Your what's terrible?
I said it may be terrible. I had my Invisalign in, so I can't even talk. It's
Well,
new.
that you know what? That makes this even better that you're actually doing it. So does anyone want to be the seller? I'm gonna have Andrea do it. She should give you a run for your money here. Rob,
Oh,
you're next.
great.
Time for one more
I'll
role
go easy on you, darling.
Thank you.
All right, so what Andrea, what I want you to, the point I want you to start at is, do I have to pay buyer's agent's commission? I've read all this stuff in the news.
So I start, she starts.
She starts.
Oh,
And it-
am I the seller?
You're the agent, I'm the
You're the
seller.
agent.
I thought you said she was supposed to say, do I have to pay buyer's commission?
Yeah, so you're the seller and you're the listing agent.
I'm the seller, Julia's the listing agent, right?
Yeah, you're on a pitch with her and you've gotten to the point of where she's gonna tell you, do I have to pay a commission? I want you to use as much as you can remember what we just went through.
Okay, so she's saying, I said, no, you don't have to pay a commission.
Okay, go.
Okay, great. I don't wanna.
And I understand, and that's your choice. Wait, I am the agent, right?
Yep.
Okay. I understand, and that's your choice, and I completely, whatever decision you decide, I'm okay with that. However, I'd love to give you a little breakdown of what a buyer's agent does. do you have time for me to explain that to you?
Sure.
Okay, so I have a breakdown of kind of what the buyer's agent does, and I'm gonna hand this to you and you can take a look at it. And give her some time to take a peek at that.
All right, ready? Pause. The first thing that you actually want to do in this is level shift the conversation, right? To completely understand. So you had mentioned you're moving, you can make up any scenario. How are you finding the next home that you're living in?
You had mentioned you're moving. How are you finding the next home that you're going to be moving to in Florida?
Probably look on Zillow.
Okay, well, okay, so I would love to go into
Maybe open houses.
referral network group that I can refer you to, but that's not part of this role play in Florida. However, okay, so if you're gonna look on Zillow, that's our Redfin, that's an opportunity that the public has for sure. However, you remember at Compass, we also have private exclusives and things that.
Pause. You just went, so ready?
Mhm.
You just went into selling, right? The goal was to
Okay,
create the gap. So ready? I'm gonna hop in and help you.
good.
Okay, perfect. Well, look, thank you. First of all, thank you for having the courage to do this, right? It's not you two are the only two people. I gave Andrea because she's tough. Like she'll give you a run for your money. So I would say, Andrea, completely understand you're starting to look on Zillow and going to open houses. So do you plan on representing yourself and purchasing your own home?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Go ahead, Andrea. Give me a run for my money now.
Okay, I hadn't thought about it.
Got it. And so you're just in the early stages of looking at properties.
Right, I was a property manager, so I really know what I'm doing.
Got it. And if you were to work with an agent, what do you envision an agent doing for you that you feel you can't do yourself?
Well, I can find the property myself. I have seen a couple of contracts before, so I probably know how to do that. I don't know. I think I can handle it.
Great. And how many years were you a property manager?
6.
6. And in the course of your 6 years, how many different properties you manage and how many transactions did you come across?
Oh, I hundreds of properties that I managed, and we probably sold, in our office a dozen, 6 a year, probably. So
So
6
safe to
times
say,
6. Yeah. I mean,
so
I didn't handle the sale, but
yeah, of course. It's safe to say that you have 1,000+ hours in real estate experience.
oh, no. I mean, not real estate, just property management.
Oh, okay. Well, look, it sounds like you're savvy. You have 1,000+ hours in property management. You have an idea of contracts, and it sounds like you feel comfortable and confident in representing yourself in the transactions. That sound about right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And let me ask you, have you ever wondered or wanted to know what an agent does in exchange for the compensation they receive?
Oh, that's a good question. Sure.
Would you mind if I show you?
Yeah.
So look, I just want to apologize in advance. This is like our own internal checklist that we use with our clients. There's lots of information that probably has no relevance to you, but each agent generally should have their own version that's here. Take a look and let me know what you think and feel.
Okay.
Go ahead and read it and now give me your placebo answer.
Yeah, looks, wow. Okay. Yeah, I've done some of this before.
Got it. And so how important are the timelines for you moving since you're selling your home and moving to a new?
Pretty important. I mean, my kid has school to start and my husband has a new job that he's starting, so pretty important.
And if those timelines didn't work out because there were issues in the transaction or someone was inexperienced or a variety of different reasons, what would be your plan B?
I guess we'd have to rent and move twice.
Got it. And is that something that you want to really invest your time and money into?
Well, it all falls on me, right? So I'm the keeper of the calendar and I pack and unpack and I have to do all that stuff. So it would be helpful if I didn't have to do that twice.
Yeah, if you think about it, there's significant cost in doing that. And, as we shared earlier, Andrew, the things that you can control, things I can control, and ultimately things neither one of us control. And generally speaking, I think we mutually agree that it's our partnership of the things that we can control. So look, if a buyer was coming to your home, given all these different things that some you realize, some you can do, and they didn't have all of this experience as a property manager, worked in an office the same way you did for those 6 years, what do you think the likelihood of them being able to do all these things on their own would be?
They'd probably limp through it, but it won't be smooth and seamless.
And how would that impact you?
Well, when things aren't smooth and seamless, it makes things difficult.
So essentially you have a choice, right? And
Mhm.
again, I'm always saying this, I'm with you, I support you 100%. A common misconception is that a commission is just money that people get offered an agent. Well, it actually serves two purposes, right? The first, it's an incentive because buyers have now a contract for the most part to pay an agent, right? So it's an incentive for a buyer and an agent to view your property. And the second thing is most people have full-time jobs and quite frankly, don't have the great experience you do in real estate. So the likelihood of someone with little to no real estate experience has a high probability of something being able to go wrong. And the first one being like a mismanagement of emotions into a financial transaction. So if you'd like to offer an incentive to help keep your timelines, make it so you don't have to move twice, and try to make this as easy for you as possible. I can't guarantee there's no deal that doesn't have any kind of friction, right? It's inevitable at some point. But our job is to manage that. And by having another agent on the other side, it mitigates a lot of those different things because now there's an intermediary between the parties that are helping really just guide this forward. So what do you think will work best for you and your family?
What do you mean? What do I think?
What do you think? Do you still want to offer no incentive or do you
Oh,
decide
I
to
see.
reconsider offering incentive?
Well, no, I want it to be smooth and seamless. I don't want to have to um move twice. I don't want it to fall out of escrow. I don't, but how much is it going to cost me realistically?
Well, look, I can give you a few different options, and that's where I'd go a flat fee, a fixed one of generally what we've done in the past. I can pull up what her competition is doing and then use like the department store example, right? Of like 3 different brands, the way incentives work, and ultimately say, if you had to move twice, how much are the movers? How much is your lease? How much are the other things? And say, Andrew, make a financial decision, right? Like look at these numbers. If you want to take a night and think about it and let me know what you want to do. Right? Like we already know how we're going to partner with the investment first services, and that's it. Like she has a type A personality. So whatever she does has to be her idea. If it's not her idea and you try to convince and push her into anything, she's going to steamroll 100%. Sound about right?
Yeah.
And this is a more challenging case, right? How's a property manager? Great. You notice how I nicely said, well, if a person doesn't have the thousands of hours of real estate experience, I didn't try to gaslight you into thinking that you don't know how to do something. And I did not say, oh, I know how to do some of the things on the list, but great. What about the things you don't know how to do? Right? A simple answer is like, well, Chirag, can you give me an experience of where that is? Yeah. What's a home inspector's job? To find everything wrong in my house. And if they don't have an agent, they're talking to a home inspector. Who do you think they're going to ask for advice for the home inspection? The inspector. And what do you think the inspector is going to say to try to build value and trust with the client? Ask them to fix everything or give you money. That is not a position anyone wants to be in. Sound good? If you're looking for somebody to be tough in your role play, Andrea is your woman. I swear she's secretly from New York.
My
But
father
you
was from New
noticed,
York, so
what's that?
my father was from New York.
There you go. So did you notice I didn't get combative? I didn't tell her what to do. I just remained calm. My tonality was calm, right? And people like in this say they can't see past their own knowledge. Right. So I would have, if this continued, I would have brought in words like, hey, as you already know, as somebody with 1,000+ real estate experience, people that don't know, have this experience, can't do it. And they're going to say, yeah, 100%. Right. So how do you want to mitigate for that when you're selling your largest asset? Yeah, Cherish, you like that one, right? I gave everyone like a crash course in dealing with narcissism in the last call. You just find a narcissist and you just use the words as you already know. And that I learned this from you and something you shared, and it's really valuable. They're not going to tell you that they were wrong. They're not going to tell you that they gave you bad advice. Their physiology and psychology will crumble before they do that. It's not happening. They're going to utterly in disgust go along with what you say. So words make a difference. All right. On that note, love in my heart, I love you all. Practice, practice, practice. So when August 17th comes and all these changes happen, you wipe the earth with the other people that are not here. I'm telling you, I'm a betting man and I'm willing to bet on you. I know that by April 17th, I can put any of you in a room. I don't care how successful the agent is, right? Michelle, you should be able to outpitch Ari because you've gone through all this training and he didn't. Right? And you can tell him I said that. That's my goal, right? Is for you to be the most skilled salespeople in America. Believe me, I've heard what other people say. It is really bad. I could tongue tie any of these people up in a role play in like less than 90 seconds. Conversation mapping. All right, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.